Shazam like troops in Pakistan. Swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man. So tick-tock and keep ticking. Well, I get you flipping off the shit I'm kicking. The Lone Ranger, co-ed, danger. Deep in the dark with the art to rip the charts apart. The vandal, too hot to handle your battle. You're saying goodbye.
I have spoken with a few people
Yeah.
that is also trying to buy businesses. They are sort of like 6 months in.
Yeah.
And what surprised them the most was how long it takes to find the business. I would say, what's your advice to people considering doing this, and especially around the time and effort it takes to succeed at it, buying business?
Time and effort it takes to succeed at buying businesses. It's a good question because, as you mentioned, ask people that are just getting started on the journey, what do they want? They want results, but more importantly, they want to know, how am I doing? So you go to the doctor's office, you describe the symptoms, and you say, how am I doing, doc? So I'll answer the question, but then I'll give you a bit more color. So the answer is up to 18 months. It takes time. Could you theoretically, within 4, 6, 7 months of engaging on this journey, happen to find the ideal business, happen to convince the business owner to transact with you, line up the debt, line up the equity, get the legals done, get the due diligence done, get it across the finish line in 4, 6 months? It's possible, absolutely possible. As a matter of fact, I'm aware of some people that have gotten their first deal done in not a too long period of time, call it 6 odd months. But realistically, you should budget for 18 months. This takes time, more than a year. Now, that sounds like a long time, but what are you actually doing when you buy a business? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're shortcutting a decade or decades. I mean, our largest company, Steelway, has been trading since the 1920s, 1928, I believe. So you're talking about 100 years of trading, right? You don't get to trade for 100 years without being profitable for most of those years. You don't get to trade for 10 years without being profitable for most of those years. So think about the alternative, starting from scratch, starting a business where you find the first customer, the second customer, you do the branding, you then find the third customer. You hire the first employee such that you can focus on the other things. Hire the second employee, get your fifth customer. I mean, that infrastructure of just building a business from scratch, it's gonna take you years, right, to get a company up and running. And likely, not very profitably, very likely not doing that much revenue, not that much profitability. The chances that you succeed at the other thing are negligible. And so I think when you compare it to the reality, which is you're not owed nothing. Business is hard. You know, the clock doesn't stop ticking even just because you're a business owner. You can register a company today, and technically you're a business owner. You can get a fancy mug with your company name on it. Technically, you're a business owner. The point is, does it make sense? Does it make money? Does the business offer a product or service that the market wants? Do you have a go-to-market strategy that is repeatable? Do you have a go-to-market strategy that is repeatable and profitable? Do you have a team in place that helps you manage that business? You know, the chances that you can do that in a short period of time are negligible to none. So I think in the universe of business ownership, this is the accelerated path, right? This is the hallelujah path, okay? Thank the heavens path, that you can get it done in just 18 months and be the proud owner of a profitable business that generates millions in revenue, right? Lucky you that it only took 18 months and not 18 goddamn years, right? So that's the long answer. But the reality is, this ain't easy. It's simple, not easy. And so have realistic expectations on timelines. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not a scheme at all. This is a get rich extremely slowly if you should be so inclined and if you should be so fortunate, okay? Scheme. So that's the answer. It takes 18 months, budget 18 months. Now, the good news is it doesn't have to be full-time. You don't have to you don't need to be Gary Vaynerchuk out here working 19 hours a day, goddamn brushing his teeth working that Gary V guy. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to work so damn hard. So work on the things that matter. Deal flow, debt, equity. Go find a business that may or may not be for sale and convince the owner to want to sell to you, okay? Deal flow. Debt. Go to a debt broker. Try to find him or her to get you some debt offers. Equity. Once you have a deal that's credit backed, you then go and find an investor. You can do this 10 hours a week. You can do this, in your spare time. I don't like that word, spare time, right? Spare change, spare time. I don't like spare nothing, but you can do this. Thank you so much.
Are you doing like podcast or?
We're doing a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Oscar has a dream, and his dream is to make me famous.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we're gonna smash his dreams. I was just telling Oscar about one of the Danish legends, one of the finest entrepreneurs that Denmark has ever produced, called Morten Lund. He was the first investor in Skype, made tons of money when that did well. He's one of the triple OGs of Danish entrepreneurship. He's been involved in like a dozen success stories. He's invested in hundreds of companies. He famously, admittedly, as he suggests, has been personally bankrupt at one point and out again and in again and out again. He's sort of like the true Silicon Valley essence in Europe and one of Europe's gems. He's also an extremely cool guy and one of the most badass MFers that I've ever met. And Oscar wasn't familiar with Morten. Morten's from another generation. He's in his 50s now. And I was sort of telling Oscar war stories about Morten. And Oscar goes, "Can we meet him?" And I'm like, all right, I can try to call him. And I just opened my WhatsApp. I see I haven't spoken to him. The last message I sent him was in 2023. But let's call Morten and see if he picks up. I literally... Morten!
The man.
Nah, you're the man, dude. What the fuck? It's been too long. Dude, you're not gonna believe this, right? So I'm literally here talking to one of these younger generation entrepreneurs. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling them about the legend of Morten. And he's like, I never heard these war stories. I'm like, dude, how the fuck do you not know the greatest entrepreneur that's come out of Scandinavia? And he's like, can we meet him? I'm like, shit, I don't know. So I pulled up my phone and see the last time we spoke was 2023. And I said, fuck it, I'm just going to call Morten and see how he's doing. Are you in Denmark or where you at?
Yeah, I'm in Denmark, in and out, as always, every second week.
So Oscar, you know, I've been sort of guiding him on how to buy a business, right? Because I think since we last spoke, I've probably bought 4 more companies. And so he's interested in that.
I hear a lot about you from some, I can't remember who, but he always updates me fully on what you bought in the steel business. And
that's fucking awesome.
Very impressed with you.
You know, I have a YouTube show as well, man. I would love for you to I would just love for them to just see what it actually looks like. The guys that built this fucking place, man.
We're buying all the land we can.
You're buying all the land?
Yeah.
What are you?
We're at 1 million square meters now.
1 million square meters?
Buildable houses, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. In Europe or what?
No, that's only in Scandinavia. We will have 1 million square meters in every state in America and every country and every region with more than 2 million people. Yeah, we make a small little 20,000 home eco-hippie collective where you have to have 4 hours a week. You have to do farming, cooking, and caring, and you also have to have hilseplikt. You have a greeting. You have to greet each other, otherwise you can get a yellow card.
When should we get coffee? I can swing by your place or we can meet anywhere, dude.
Tomorrow I'll be in town. We can go and see some art and some stuff with 3 days of design, yeah?
Dude, I love that, man. Tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah.
Deal. See you tomorrow, Morten. I'm super looking forward.
Done deal, man.
Nice one, brother. See you. Cheers. Morten fucking Lund. That guy's a legend, dude. He's the first investor in what became Skype. Technically, he's one of the co-founders that eventually sold to Microsoft. They eventually sold it for $3 billion USD. He's a legend in this country, and he's the man, you know? And unfortunately, Oscar doesn't know about this guy, so I had to indoctrinate the young bucks. Yeah, these are the triple OGs, man.
Okay, you said in recent episodes
Yeah.
that one skill required is to add, subtract, and multiply.
Yeah.
Do you think that a person with a finance experience has a significant higher chance of success in this space compared to someone being green?
Yes. This is a choose yourself industry. No one's gonna come knock on your door and say, congratulations. You know them big ass, when you win like a lottery and they come with the big ass checks. Congratulations, you are the lucky winner. There is no fucking big ass check. Like, you choose yourself. And what does that mean? That means you first self-identify as the individual that can succeed in this game. You then map out the steps that it takes to succeed. You then take those steps and you don't stop taking those steps until success meets you where you stand, right? And so I think that someone who has a background in finance, economics, business, or management or leadership has probably a shorter leap to that self-identity of being able to do this compared to, let's say, someone who currently works as a carpenter, for example, or a musician, or like Oscar was, a media person, right? But that's not because there's anything inherently different or inherently harder. just because you don't have a finance or business degree. It's about the self-perception, right? So Oscar, you had to make a massive identity leap from being the guy behind the camera, filming people in front of the camera, right? To being the person that says, I could do this. No one gives a shit about your background. Do you create value? Do you add value? Do you deliver value? Are you a net positive contributor, right? Do you take the actions that beget success? So it doesn't matter if you're some fancy schmancy like intelligentsia person that knows all of the numbers and can do reverse calculus. Who gives a shit? Are you willing to do the work? I'm no fucking guru. I'm just a dude, man. Just a dude talking to a camera. I'm just a dude, but I've taken the actions, right, that have led to these results. If there's anything special, it's the actions. So take the action. Stop bitching. Oscar, you were asking me questions about Morten Lund. There was a time when Morten was, truly amongst the wealthiest people in this country. Even today, he's one of the most successful people from Denmark, just given his track record, the shit that this man has done. Truly one of the most impressive entrepreneurs that I've ever met. He's a legend. And haven't spoken to him in 3.5 years, probably haven't seen him in 4 years. Yet Oscar says to me, I've never heard of Morten. And within 5 minutes, I'm calling him. That's action. Like shortening the time to action, okay? I could have just gone on about this guy or talked about a guy that I used to know. But instead, the thought occurred to me, why not just fucking call him? Called him within 5 minutes of his name popping up. And now I'm invited to go to some event tomorrow where apparently, quite a few, let's say, high net worth individuals are gathering to discuss art. This is an experience I wouldn't have had tomorrow, right? But now it's going to be an experience that I do have tomorrow. That's the way you should live life. It amounts to little if you don't follow through with activities and action. Take action. What more can I give you? Can't give you more. That's it. That's the secret. No worries.
So if you had to do a joint venture,
Yep.
On your first acquisition, what type of person would you partner with?
I would say the skills that are helpful is the extroverted, salesy, communication-oriented, person who is very good at turning relationships into meaningful partnerships, right? The external-facing individual. So that's one. The second I would say is someone who is very analytical and can not only analyze financials, numbers, figures, get to the bottom of claims, but can also take a sort of skeptical posture and look at the facts as they've been presented and ask the obvious first principles questions. Is this a good deal? The second doesn't have to be a finance person. It could be a finance person, someone with a legal background, or someone who is perhaps undereducated formally, but just has these skills naturally. But I think those are the two character traits that complement well in this sort of space. So ask yourself, which of those do you lean more towards? And I would just lean more into whichever you are, and I would recruit someone that is the other. So if you are even somewhat outgoing, somewhat extroverted, somewhat salesy, but don't consider yourself a salesperson, I would lean into that universe, and I would spend even more time doing the deal flow side, getting out there, speaking with people, representing, the ambitions of your venture. And if you're, on the other hand, somewhat analytical, somewhat skeptical, somewhat person that likes to see before they believe, then I would lean even deeper into that. And I would try to, for example, learn as much as possible accounting, which is the language of business, as much as possible, read technical, books, watch technical YouTube videos that educate you on how to evaluate opportunities and recruit the other person. So I would say choose one of these two universes. With technology companies, it's typically the CEO, CTO, right?
Yeah.
This sort of sales versus tech expertise duality is not uncommon in many fields. And I would just say pick one, lean in, be the best version of that, and then recruit the other. Try to guess which I am. I'm the tech guy, the analytics man. If I'm doing the analytics, we got a problem.
If you have to choose to buy businesses and build a group in a sector, another sector, which sector do you think has the most potential right now?
Which sector has the most potential? Good question. I mean, I would say, so let me separate the question, right? So if most potential to close a deal, right? So let's say someone wants to buy the first business and they're saying, what's the sector that's least likely to provide friction such that I close, right? Maximize your chances of closing a deal, even if it's not necessarily the most profitable going forward. I would say any manufacturing business that also has a debtor book, meaning the relationship that they have with their clients is such that they manufacture, they deliver the value, and then they collect payments, call it 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line. That is not project-based. What I mean by project-based is in construction, right? Anything that's construction, and that doesn't mean just building buildings, but anything that takes time to complete. As you are delivering services or product to a project, it takes time to create that, assemble it, deliver it, have it installed, have the installations concluded, and have the project come to conclusion such that you stop supplying. And that project-based nature of that construction-based company means at any given time, you're owed for work that you did 2 months ago, but then today you've continued to deliver work. Mm-hmm. And the challenge there is there's a high chance of dispute. And if there's a dispute, then they can withhold monies that are owed to you from prior work. That means that the banks don't like those kind of businesses because it means that the value of the debtor book is impeded. So that's a very long answer. I mean, the short answer would be to say, pick a manufacturing business where you create widgets, deliver the widgets, account for the widgets, and then be done, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to being part of a development project, right? So manufacturing businesses that deliver not on a project basis, but rather they manufacture items, they sell them to their clients, they invoice, they get paid 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later. That type of manufacturing business is the most likely to get funded. Why? Because you have plant and machinery that you can raise money against, and you have a debtor book that you can raise money against. And the fact that you are manufacturing in an industry where the chance of dispute is minimal because it's not under a project basis, you can get a high, rate against the value of the invoices, 70, 80, 90% against the total value versus a 40, 50%. That is a highly fundable business category in any sector. So that would be one. However, if you're talking about the most profitable, the one that'll make the most money over a long period of time, then I would say go after a services business that has a niche, right? So that niche could, for example, be, testing. You could buy a business that does security testing and verification, right? As part of engineering, right? Security testing and verification in a sector that needs it. Those types of niche businesses that are in the services sector that are defendable, that sort of business. Now, they typically aren't that large. So you're unlikely to find one that does 15, 20 million pounds. 10 million pounds, even 5 million, that does that sort of niche. But that's a business that, you can lay in your bed knowing you're going to collect profits for a very long time. Maybe a little bit harder to fund, but a good business to buy. So I would separate good business into highly transactable versus very sustainable, defensible earnings, right? And then choose your sector, dude. I mean, that's the nice thing about this line of work. You can create your own niche, man, I heard in the Army, not that I've ever served, one of the first things they teach you is the very first thing you do in the morning, supposedly, is you make your bed, right? Now, why do you make your bed? Because no matter how shitty your day was, at the end of a shitty day, no matter how far you've trekked, no matter what you've done, no matter what little you've eaten, you spend the night in a well-made bed because that was the first thing that you did. So I think that this is a great question because it's essentially your PE bed, right? So choose wisely because you're going to suffer for the next 3, 5, 10 years. So you might as well end up in a bed that you enjoy. And with that, 0 to 100. Let's fucking go.
Awesome.
Boom.